be honest, the phrase self-care has gotten a little confusing because somewhere along the way it turned into bubble baths and spa days and treat yourself moments. But what happens when your life doesn't actually allow that? When you're managing health challenges, caring for family, running a business, or trying to keep all those plates spinning, or maybe just even trying to live your life? Today, we're talking about real self care for your actual life, the kind that gives you breathing room instead of one more thing to feel guilty about.
Why do we keep going back to quick fixes, even when we know they don't work?
Welcome to the Coaches Hotline. Glucose, grit, and grace. Real talk with coaches, no sugarcoating.
We're here to help you ditch the diet cycle, stabilize blood sugar, and finally feel at home in your body.
Because health isn't about restriction, it's about freedom, energy, and confidence.
Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Glucose, Grit, and Grace, where we're talking about building health, resilience, and sustainable habits in real life. I'm Coach Elaine here with Coach Amber and Coach Elaine, and today we're talking about something that every woman listening has wrestled with at some point: the tension between caring for everyone else and caring for yourself. And today's guest understands that tension better than most. Rachel D. Baker is a speaker, coach, author, and podcast host who is passionate about helping women reclaim their time and their sanity. As someone who lives with chronic pain and illness, is a special needs mom, and also navigates ADHD, Rachel understands firsthand the pressure that many women feel doing all the things, even when their bodies are waving that white flag. Through her podcast, How's All That Working For You?, Rachel shares practical strategies, resources, and faith-based encouragement to help women create breathing room, set healthy boundaries, and let go of guilt around taking care of themselves. And Rachel brings humor, honesty, and a little bit of sass to conversations that many women desperately need to hear. Rachel, we're so glad you're here today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to talk about this with you today.
We're happy to have you. Now, Rachel, many women listening are trying to juggle work and family and health and responsibilities, and they often feel like they should be able to just handle it all. That's what we're told, right? We should be able to do it all. But you've had to rethink productivity because of your health. What did you have to unlearn about productivity when your body forced you to pay attention to your real capacity? And could you give us a little bit of background on that?
And how long have you got? No, I'm not going to take that long. There's been a lot. I've had a lot of personal health challenges when I've got two kiddos, and right now they are teenagers. I've got one graduating in a couple of months. It's a whole weird thing. But when they were itty bitty, when we were 3, my son wasn't even a year old, I broke my arm while killing a bug and discovered I had a really big bone tumor in my arm and had that removed. That took a while to heal. So my arm was in a sling, recovering from the surgery for months on pain meds. Meanwhile, I've got a kid in diapers, needing a bottle, needing to get in and out of a crib. Couldn't. So that was a very humbling experience. We had blessed friends and family who came and took shifts in my house. And there was a lot of that. And for someone who is used to doing all the things for all the people all the time, and my role, my identity, part of my identity, I'm mom, right? I'm supposed to take care of the house and take care of the kids and do all the things, the laundry, none of it. That was my first God saying, that's cute, sit down. That was that first moment where I think I can do everything in my ability and power. And he's like, how cute are you? And I really had to learn that is not, I don't have to earn my worth. That is not my identity, what I can accomplish, how much I can do for other people. That does not determine my identity or what I'm worth. Now, Did I immediately learn that lesson from that one time and just live the rest of my life? No, of course not.
Why is that?
We are slow to learn, and old habits die hard, right? So
Yeah.
along the way, there's been a lot more. I've had misdiagnoses. I got treated for one disease for a year and a half. I was in and out of a wheelchair for almost 3 years. It was a whole wild thing. I've had 2 neck surgeries, and we're now at the point now that I'm 43. I've had a lot of those things taken care of, but now I have lupus. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I have Sjogren's syndrome, which basically means my body fights the glands that make tears and saliva. I'm going to drink a lot during this episode, basically, is what I'm saying.
We always do.
So I have had to learn multiple times over the years with God saying, that's cute, sit down. That every time I start trying to do everything, I make the checklists and I read all the productivity books and listen to all the podcasts, and I have got my systems in place. They're all helpful, and finding what works for you is super important. But that can't be what decides if you are enough, if you've done enough. I don't know, I really felt for the longest time that me getting all the things done for all the people meant I was enough and that was who I was. And I've had to unlearn that so many times.
So I guess that could center, you talked about your worth and the output. So how do we separate the worth from the output?
That is a really great question, Elaine. For me, I've had to get down to the core of who is Rachel, which sounds like this big existential question, but everything that is part of our lives, me being a mom, a wife, a daughter, a sister, a friend, all these roles that we have are hats, and hats can get lost. They can get thrown out. They can get taken. They can get burned in the fire. They are not me as a person. They are part of me and roles that I fill and things that bring me joy and things that are hard. But to get down to who am I, that is, who did God create me to be? What are my specific God-given skills and strengths and passions and desires, those pieces that God put in me, regardless of which hat I'm wearing or which season of life I am in. And girl, that has taken my whole life to get to. It's taken me a long time, but I also know I've been through the valley of the shadow of all the things so many times. I think God has brought me to that point a little bit sooner. And there are many women I meet who I know are even much. I talked to one sweet lady when I spoke at a ladies' day at a church one day. Sweet woman in her 80s came up to me afterward, and she had been living in an identity most of her life. This is who she is because it's what she did. It's what she contributed. It was her work. And now physically she could not do that. And it was like, who even am I? Because she could not see how the skills and strengths and passions from that carried over into this current season and space of her life. And that was something, it's just such a blessing for me. It's why I love doing what I do. I got to sit with her and talk about what that could look like now. And she got real excited about it because we were talking about who she is as God created her and what that could look like right now. So I do feel like that it's such an important piece that when we get going on our hamster wheels, trying to just get through every day, we don't sit with it. We don't pause. We don't allow ourselves the breathing room to even think about it. And
that's so parallel to what we talk about when we talk about finding your why and really deciding who you are.
yes,
Right? Where you have to decide why you want what you want, not because of what you do, but because of who you are.
Well, and I also think that idea of who you are, we talk a lot about belief systems. And when we coach our clients, we're coaching them more on what they believe about themselves and what is possible, more so than we do what they should be putting food-wise into their bodies. So I would love to hear from you. What beliefs about productivity do you see hurting women the most? Because I truly believe that everything that we do is at the core of our belief systems.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we need to start doing some repair.
That last bit that you said, I think, is so important, because I know for me, there were a lot of beliefs I had that did have to be unlearned. I had to really sit and go, why do I believe this? Why is this actually mine? Or was this just instilled in me at some point and I ran with it? And so I think really the first part is, what do I believe and why do I believe it? And so back to Elaine, what you were saying about asking why encompasses a lot. Why am I doing the things I'm doing? Why do I believe the things I believe? Is this actually a value that matters to me? Or does it matter to somebody else and I just cook it on?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, as Enneagram 2 recovering codependent, I am here for everybody else's values and needs and beliefs. And let me just soak them up like a sponge. And that is a lot of unlearning. So I think that's number one, is actually, and again, you have to have a little breathing room, create it, allow for it in your schedule to sit with that and say, what and why? But for me, anyway, the productivity piece, I have been the queen of listening to the gurus, reading the books, listening to the podcasts. I want to get as much done in as little time as possible. I want to be so efficient. I want to block my schedule and I want to batch my tasks. And is anybody, can I get an amen?
I can't relate at all, no.
So, and I'm to the point, I am a certified specialist with Asana, the project management system that's digital. I, for a couple years, would help women or businesses set up these digital systems. Give me your life, tell me all the things, and I'll set it all up in a system for you with some training videos, and then you go live your life. And the people who were real invested would go and do and live their life, and it was amazing. And the people who were just looking for a solution would go and take it and be like, and they would never look at it again.
That sounds like coaching.
It does. It sounds like nutrition coaching for sure.
Yes, it is. It was a lot of coaching, and then, but you got to take it and do something with it. But anyway, so that's just to say, to that extreme, I am here for the systems and the strategies and the getting all your ducks in a row. But when we look at real life, I love all the memes that are like, my ducks are in a row, are not in a row. I don't even know if I have ducks. I think there's a squirrel in there and he's running around like a crazy thing. That's real life.
Yeah.
And I have really had to make that shift to realize I have to allow the grace. I love that your podcast title includes grace in it. We have to allow the grace for ourselves that we would allow for anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things. If someone else were to come to me and be like, look at this list I was supposed to do today, and I only got this one thing done, and there are 50 others that I didn't even get to. And I'll be like, listen, you had a crazy day, or your kid was puking all day, or you don't feel well right now, whatever it is, that's okay. Chill out.
But we don't do that for ourselves, do we?
No, listen, I do now. I didn't used to, but I'm a lot better about it now. I have learned, listen, you cannot live with lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and all this and have neurospicy teenagers. I've got one with epic ADHD, and I've got one with autism and ADHD in the teenage years. I can't even emphasize that enough. It is a circus over here. And there are always things that I want to get done, and I do my daily best, and my daily best is enough now.
I love that. And that you talked a little bit earlier about something that we talk about a lot, which is morning time, and making that, well, we call it morning time, but you said making that appointment with yourself, sitting down with yourself and deciding what's my capacity and who am I and what do I want to be and how do I want to show up.
Yep.
And that is so important to do every day, because that's how we show up for ourselves, right? That's how we make things happen for ourselves instead of just allowing things to happen. But I know that you and I have talked about this before. What if you sat down the day before and said, tomorrow I'm going to do these 10 things, and then you wake up and you're having a lupus flare? What do you do about that? How do you adjust?
That has been the biggest learning curve for me, because absolutely we get prepped. What can I do for future Rachel? How can I prepare for her to be so successful tomorrow? Right. First of all, a list of 10 things. Stop it right now. There's no list of 10 things.
Oh, thank you.
We're not doing that. Every morning I have an eternal list of things,
Right.
because I'm really big on, especially when I feel overwhelmed, there's too much.
Mhm.
I'm really big on doing a brain dump, which some people are like, that sounds kind of crass. Whatever. You got to get your brain out onto paper and in front of your eyeballs. That's the best way I know to say it, because it swirls up here and you can't actually catch a one thing to do something with it. But if I get it out and on paper, I see it with my eyeballs, then I can decide what is actually important and has to be done by me. What is actually urgent and needs to happen right now, today, or could be scheduled later in the week, or why was that even in my brain in the first place? Throw it in the trash. I can do something with it, right? Morning time for me is crucial, and I hold tightly to it, whatever that requires. But I have to start my day. I list 3 things that I accomplished yesterday, because that lets my brain and heart know I did stuff. Even if that was, I got out of the bed and moved to the couch. High five, self, we did it. Or maybe I did a big adulting thing and I called the insurance company, going on the list. So whatever that looks like, there are 3 of them. 3 things I'm grateful for, because my heart needs that. And 3 top 3 things that I want to get done today. Did you hear the 3 and not the 10?
I did hear that. I love that.
Everything else is bonus. If you do more than 3, way to go. You have that dump somewhere. But as far as capacity, I also have to assess in the morning which Rachel showed up today. Is it super feeling awesome? Rachel can do all the things. She's rare, right? But we're glad when she shows up. Or is it like, I'm okay and I can get some stuff done? Or am I having an epic flare and I can't really it's a bed to the couch day? Do I need more help? And that affects what goes in my top 3. Sometimes my top 3 looks like I might list 2 small things, like unload the dishwasher or plan out meals, because I can sit and do that from the couch. Things I can do from a resting place. And number 3 might be rest. That might be on my top 3. And that's also okay. So yes, I want to have the list of what I would like to get done for the day, but it has to be filtered through my actual capacity. And some of that is, like, if you don't have autoimmune disease, that might also be if you have kids at home, did my kid wake up throwing up this morning or with flu? Or did something happen in our family or with a friend that I need to be present for that life happens. Life gets lifey.
Yeah, we can't plan that out, right?
You cannot plan those things.
Right.
No matter what we plan.
On Thursday.
Right. Can we push that puking off a little bit, please? No. I don't have that ability. And so to be able to show up and monitor and adjust, it's one of my favorite phrases. We monitor and adjust, and it's okay. And that's something, because I've had to say it a lot with my son, who has autism and ADHD. He hates change, y'all. He's not here for it. He doesn't want it. Mm-hmm. It's okay. We are not harmed in this, right? If we have to move things or ask for someone else to do it, if we have to delegate a thing, also.
That is just so powerful, because a lot of times we don't give ourselves, like you said, the grace to be able to do that. And we just think that we have to accomplish all this stuff. I was going to say, when we were talking earlier, Our life has been about productivity. If you worked outside, I've worked corporate for a long time. It was about your performance review. What did you accomplish in this last quarter or year?
Yep.
So it was all about, got to get this done. And it's really hard to switch that off. So that goes into you're talking about versions of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What are some examples of the different versions of yourself that you noticed?
Health-wise, those versions of me that show up. But I also, my background is teaching. And so a lot of that, my value as a teacher, a lot of times is based on how are my students doing? And so even now as a coach, am I doing a good job? Are my people that I'm coaching, are my clients doing well? Am I doing enough for them? Everything that we try to measure for am I enough? Am I doing enough? Or am I as a person enough based on YZ criteria? We don't sit with, I am enough as a loved child of God. I am enough as a whole person. And all of these things that I do, I'm doing my daily best. I do my daily best within my household, for my children, for my clients, when I come on my own podcast, daily best. And I can go to bed at night saying, I might not have done all the things I wanted to do, or we had a fight, me and one of my kids fought right before we went to bed. That feels like garbage. But I've got this mastered and I'm amazing. Listen, I go to bed and this feels awful. Am I a crappy mom? No, I'm not a crappy mom. We just had a disagreement and it feels gross. And tomorrow is a new day. My ministry, everything that I do, my business is, I have Merciful Mornings, LLC. That's just because that is where I stay grounded. Yeah. Regardless of how my day goes, there are new mercies every morning. Let's start fresh.
That's right. And I love how you start those mornings with thinking about what did I accomplish yesterday? So that even if you've had a day where you felt like you didn't accomplish a lot, if you focus, you see what you focus on, right?
Yes.
That's what we talk about a lot. If you focus on the good, then you see more good. If you focus on the failure, then you see more failure. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you incorporate that. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the obstacle of the guilt that comes with self-care. We've been talking a lot about supporting ourselves and being there for ourselves, not necessarily in a bubble bath spa way, but supporting how we're showing up, right?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that guilt and how do we navigate that tension between getting things done and extending yourself grace?
I love this question so much because I am also the queen of feeling guilty. I'm over it now. That is one that I have moved pretty well past. Not all the time, but as far as creating some breathing room in my schedule for myself or saying I made this appointment with myself, I am unavailable at this time. That is hard for a lot of us. Yeah. And a lot of it is we don't think we're allowed. I'm real big on handing out permission slips. I just like push it through the screen or the microphone. Here's your permission slip. You are allowed to be a whole person who takes up space. You are allowed to need things and want things. And you are allowed to follow through with that. And depending on how you've lived your life with the people around you, it may or may not go over well with everyone, but it doesn't change the fact that you are allowed those things. And so the biggest part of why do we allow these things? Why do I schedule time for myself? Why do I make sure I'm filling up my own cup, right? And it's not because I deserve it, because I'm amazing, because me. I struggle with the self-care talk that's going on. You deserve it. You're the best. Give yourself everything you want. That's not our why, I'm going to say. I believe we have to fill our own cup because as self-sacrificial, wanting to take care of all the people and do all the things all the time, that's who we're talking to, right? We cannot pour out of an empty cup. You can try. If you've got a drink and it's like getting dried up, you got a few drops in there, you're not filling it back up, it's going to get moldy and cruddy after a while. And then you're going to try to pour that, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to drink that. It's gross. It's unpleasant. We end up getting exhausted, burnout, resentful because we're having to do these things and we don't get any time for ourselves. Nobody wants to be poured into with that. So in order to do the things and be the people we want to be, we have to take time to fill our own cup so that we can continue pouring into others the way we feel called to do. And that was a big deal for me to get to that point, to say, it's not that I'm being selfish, because we feel like that, right? I'm being selfish if I take time for myself, because I should, hate that word, by the way, I should be doing things for other people. And I can should all over myself all day long, and it stinks. Just throw that out there. But what we really should be doing is making sure we are at a healthy place. We feel at peace. We have done something for ourselves so that we can continue living the life we want. We should be eating well. We should care for ourselves in that way, right? If I don't eat well, if I don't drink enough water, I feel like garbage. And everybody around me knows it. It's coming out everywhere.
Right.
So those things that you guys coach on, I think it's such a blessing, because we do need those pieces. We need to know that we're eating well, that we have enough protein and fat and carbs, and that our body is fueled properly. Whereas if I'm just going through life, living on the hamster wheel, grabbing what I can, it's been a rough day, I deserve a brownie, been there, done that, still creeps in sometimes, but I know I can get back on track as well. And that's a big piece of self-care. I'm taking care of myself.
Right.
And if I need a timeout, if I need some breathing room, go close the door to my bedroom for a few minutes or whatever, then I need it. It's a need. It's not a selfish thing.
So how can women start rewriting that internal narrative? Because I think that may be where it starts. Yeah.
100%. And it does. I think the biggest obstacle that I encounter is, one, unawareness. Women just being unaware that it can be any different, or that there's anything off or out of it. This is just the way it is. My life is just this way.
Yep.
And so that's one of the reasons my podcast is named what it is, which is, how's all that working for you?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the women that come to me will get together, have a cup of coffee or virtually, whichever, and just tell me what's up. Tell me what you need. And they'll word vomit all the things that are happening in life. And this is so hard, and I don't know how or why. And that's the question I ask. How's all that working for you? Because until they get it all out and get to the point of, it's not, why is it not working? What about this feels off? I think the very first piece is to realize this is what my life actually consists of. And you may word vomit all the things. How's all that working for you? It's great. Everything's great. Cool. Live your best life. But it's kind of like you said earlier, with coaching, especially, we can't force anybody to do anything. If I have learned anything from having teenagers in my life, you cannot force people to do things. We can
And
coach,
you can't want it for them either.
No.
You want to just say, but this will help you.
right. Don't you feel how I feel right now? Don't you feel how much you need and want this?
But until they come to that place of understanding that what they're doing, whether it's nutrition or time management or relationships or anything, until they realize that what they're doing isn't working, they're not going to want to do something different.
I think that some of that comes down to, you said, I'm not a spa person. Don't get me wrong. I love to go get a good massage, but that happens maybe once every 2 years or something like that. I don't take bubble baths, things like that, because they're just not in me to do that. And also maybe it's because I don't feel like I can take that time to do that. So what would you say to a person? And I'm not just talking about the bubble baths and the spas. I'm talking about taking that meditation, that reflection time. What would you say to women who feel like that's selfish for them to take that time for themselves when they feel like they have all of this to do? The kids and the teenagers and the housework and the laundry and their jobs, things like that. What would you say to them?
I would say in those pockets of time when you feel like you need to doom scroll or numb out with shows, or even if it's just the first 5 minutes when you wake up in the morning or 5 minutes before you falling asleep, that's tough. Because listen, we get in the bed, we just want to be in bed and go to sleep. But even if it's just an extra 5 minutes in the morning, I would say you are worth that time. And it's crucial if you actually want something to change. That's really the piece of it. That's the core, kind of what Amber was saying earlier when we were talking about what's that first step? How do we get past over that hump of you've really got to say, what does my life look like? What is it? What is the day to day? Am I running on the hamster wheel and just going through life on autopilot?
Right.
And do I want it to be different? Because until you hit the point that you really want it to be different, it's not going to be different. And when you decide, I really want this to be different, I want to feel different, I want to show up better for my people, I want to feel better in whatever aspect of life, then there are steps to take. There are any of these lovely coaches, if it's getting your health under control, your nutrition, your movement, all those things. If it's, I want to manage my time better, or I need clarity on even who I am and what I'm doing, that's where I do. I am here for time management. I am here for clarity. I love working with women on your strengths and your skills and your passions. But it does take saying something has to be different. I want that for myself. And I am valuable as a person. I would want this for someone else who was struggling in this way.
Right.
And one of the things, Elaine, earlier you mentioned scheduling time appointment with yourself. That is one of the biggest things that I do try to teach is we schedule doctor's appointments. We schedule things for our kids' school to show up for, getting our hair cut. We schedule all these things on our calendar and then we show up for it. Because if you made a dentist appointment or made an appointment with a friend, even you're going to meet for coffee, you wouldn't just not show up, because that's disrespectful. It's rude. And just not show up and not be there and be like, I'm sorry, I had to wash these dishes instead. Right. The thought of saying that to someone else that you were supposed to meet with sounds outrageous, rude, disrespectful. I'm sorry, you blocked off that time for me, but I really needed to fold this laundry, so I couldn't make it.
Sorry, you didn't make it. I love that. That's what I was going to ask you next is what is one step that our audience members could take once they realize this isn't working for me? What is that one step that they can take that would start to turn things around? So what I hear you saying is make that appointment with yourself and keep it.
Yes, you put it on your calendar. Whether you use a paper calendar or your Google Calendar or iCal, whatever it is you use, pretend, if you need to, pretend in your mind, I have an appointment and it's at this time on this day. And whether you block off just 30 minutes for yourself, and if you need to tell a spouse or a friend, or I need somebody to watch my kids, well, I just need this 30 minutes, or maybe it's right after they go to bed, before they get up, wherever you can squeeze it in. But it matters. Know that it matters. Know that you're ready to take the next step and have that time for yourself. And that's when you can start sitting down with, what does daily life look like? What do all those things we talked about? Do I want it to change? What would I like to change? And you can do that once a week, twice a week, however you can fit it in. But it's an appointment on your calendar, and it would be rude not to show up for an appointment on your calendar. I'm going to get out my teacher and my mom finger. And
the perfect place to end, because that's such a powerful thing. Show up for yourself. Make that appointment and show up for yourself, right? That is a powerful reframe. So the goal isn't to squeeze more out of yourself or master productivity. It's about showing up for yourself and creating a system that supports you for how you can show up.
Yes. And I'm never here to say, do more. I don't want to add something else to your to-do list.
Right.
We want to make it easier to manage. We want it to feel better. So nothing that I suggest, provide is never intended to be one more thing on your checklist.
That's great. I love that. And that's what we're all about, right? Those 1% improvements and just doing a little bit more. You just showing up a little bit better for yourself. So.
Yes.
All right. So before we wrap up, we're going to do something that I know us coaches love. Hopefully everyone else loves it as much as we do, but I'm not, because it's our podcast, right?
Okay, let's go.
Are you ready? We do something called the lightning round, so our audience can get to know a different side of you a little bit better. So Amber, why don't you start us out today?
Yeah. Oh, I would love to. First thing that pops into your brain, a self-care practice that actually works in real life.
Body scan.
Oh.
I do a body scan when I feel super stressed, overwhelmed, and that just sit with my eyes closed, take a few deep breaths, and I bring my attention to different parts of my body, start at the top of my head and just work my way down to my feet that are on the ground, or if I'm laying down, whatever. And that just kind of calms my whole nervous system.
Nice.
I love that.
That's cool. I forgot about that. I did that a long time ago and completely forgot about it.
I love it
It's
so much.
very, very relaxing and calming.
Yes.
I love it.
So with that, a habit that helps you protect your energy.
Nap. I genuinely, a siesta. I think that's the best. I want to move to Italy. They do siesta, shut the whole town down. But I love just taking a nap, even if it's short. And I usually can do it in the afternoon. But if I can't, and I know ahead that I can't, I see where else I can squeeze it in. But that's part of that is the autoimmune life. But I just need that little bit of rest.
I love that. Or sometimes it's just pulling away and turning off screens and turning off everything and just sitting for a minute.
I don't always sleep, but it's even if I just have like 20 minutes to lay down and close my eyes.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
Something that instantly brings you peace or joy.
A hot cup of coffee brings me peace and joy every time I have it.
What is one thing that women need to stop feeling guilty about?
Wanting and needing to have some breathing room in their life and rest. Permission slip granted. You may have that.
There you go. That's just for you. I love it. So a favorite scripture or quote that inspires and encourages you.
For me, this has been it for a long time. And I have it actually right here. It's Psalm 18, 16 through 19. So it's like a section, but I have it available for my eyeballs. But I love, it is a psalm where he's talking about feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, everything's hard. And then he says, he reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from my foes who were too strong for me. They confronted me in the day of my disaster, but the Lord was my support. And I love this last part. He brought me out into a spacious place. That's how I feel about breathing room. He rescued me because he delighted in me. And that just soothes my soul and reminds me that when he brings you to that spacious place, so to have that spacious place because he delights in you, permission granted, right?
Love it. For sure. Yeah. There's your permission slip.
Yep. Straight out of scripture. Permission slip straight from the Lord. There you go.
So we know you love coffee. Is there any other beverage that soothes your soul as well?
I really love just about any flavored sparkling water because I can't do artificial colors. I can't do sodas. I get none of that. Just, it doesn't sit well with me anyway, but I want a good tasty drink. And so really any of the flavored carbonated water makes me happy.
I love those. That's awesome. So that wasn't so bad, was it, Rachel?
Not so bad.
You did great. Yes. Rachel, thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us today. This conversation is such a needed reminder that self-care isn't selfish and it's not about perfection.
Mhm.
About creating rhythms and creating breathing room that supports the life that you're actually living, and giving yourself permission to care for your body and your energy the same way you care for everyone else in your life. So if this episode encouraged you, please share it with a friend who might need that permission slip as well. And Rachel, how can our listeners find you and learn more about your work?
I have a website. My website is racheldbaker.com. And I am also over on Instagram, and it's rachel.d.baker because Instagram is weird like that. I don't know, somebody else had it already. So I'm over there a lot, but pretty much everything you would want to find is on my website, including you can get to my podcast from there, coaching information, any digital courses. I've got some free resources that are super helpful. So it's all there.
Excellent. And you have a free gift for anyone who comes to visit, you said.
I've got a couple of free things. I've got some scripture cards that I created that you can print, and it is different examples of breathing room in the Bible. I went and found different scriptures that release, and I'm not one for pulling scriptures out of context. So please know whatever is on these scriptures, that's the subject, that's what's happening there.
Yeah.
And I also recently added some free printable permission slips.
Oh, I love
And
it.
there are some ideas on there as well of things you might want to put on your permission slip. But like I said earlier, sometimes just having that in front of your eyeballs as a reminder is super helpful. And so all of that is on my website.
Terrific. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Health Coach Hotline, Glucose, Grit, and Grace, where we talk about the habits and mindsets that help you build real health, resilience, and grace for the journey. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.